If they do, it's going to have to come through Aaron Gordon. Here you see 18 points, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks. When we talked about the performance last year, 30 points, 20 rebounds, it'll likely take that kind of performance if Archbishop Mitty's going to have a chance, because on the other end, they're getting it done with Stanley Johnson, 11 rebounds and 26 points.
Johnson for 3, and here comes Gordon and Mitty. 2 on 3. Gordon will wait for help. Or Willie. Tried to get too fancy that time. Went behind the back, a little out of control. That's not a good turnover. Not that there are any that are, mind you. Brown thought about it, steps in, still can't get it. Gooden with another rebound. Just inside 3 minutes, still not out of the question for Mitty. And Gooden just threw that right to Brown. So a couple of costly turnovers, and Brown's going to take it all away.
You're right. You talk about costly turnovers. When you don't get a shot up at the basket, it hurts.
And Gooden, another turnover as he tried to get it to the cutting Peterson. 3 turnovers in a row for Mitty. They trail by 9, and Mater Dei has the ball with 2.5 minutes to go. 9 turnovers in the game.
Yeah, and credit Brown for getting out into the passing lanes. I mean, that's really what it is. Just getting out and getting some steals, making things happen.
Brown spot up 3. A little bit short, had a pretty good look at it, and Mitty could not control that.
At this point, yeah, it seems like Mitty's struggling to buy an opportunity. 2 straight turnovers. Kind of a gamble at half court too, and then Brown goes in for the dunk.
And here's Gooden. This time he comes behind the backs, leaves it for Peterson, and it goes right off the knee of Peterson, but it's going to be out of bounds to Mitty, they say.
You know, that's one where you really want to see Gordon just attack. You know, you're the bigger player, you're the bigger star, just attack. Put that head down, make something happen. Force Johnson to foul you.
Peterson for 3 from the corner, comes up short. Peterson gets the rebound. Down low, Messer gets it to go.
Great job, Messer, sitting down. Pump fake, watching him fly by, getting up and finish.
And it was Brandon Farrell, I beg your pardon, not Messer, with the finish there. So back to a 7-point game, 2 minutes, 3 seconds remaining to be played.
There's still a lot of time, especially when you think about timeouts and fouls. They're doing a good job finding them down low. Farrell getting the shot out without getting blocked. I don't know if anyone realized they had Gordon wide open if they made one more swing, but it worked out anyway. A 7-point game, 2 minutes left. Even though there hasn't been a lot of scoring, both teams can score in bunches because of the stars they have on the floor. You know, Stanley Johnson on one side, we've seen they'll hit big 3 after big 3, and then obviously Gordon can get it done.
So 7-point game. The Mitty cheering section. This is the guy that has done the most damage in this ball game, Stanley Johnson. Just a junior, be back at Mater Dei for another year, and will be highly sought after, needless to say.
He's built like a 30-year-old.
He is. There he is on the wing. Cuts to the basket, couldn't get it to go. And here comes Mitty once again. A little quick with that shot, I thought. Skip past it, Peterson. Peterson might have gotten away with the travel, over past it. Cage picks it up. Well, they've had opportunities.
And they keep shooting fast.
Yeah. And then they can't control the rebound. Now reach in, following Johnson with 1.5 minutes left.
And at this point, you know, if you're Mitty, you're looking at missed opportunity after missed opportunity, you do have to start fouling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially you're talking about the turnovers down the stretch. The turnovers kill you. You just cannot come back from this kind of deficit when every bucket is so hard fought. I mean, it's not easy.
And missed by Johnson. I'm saying Mater Dei is sure waiting for him. Here's Gordon working on Johnson. Give it up in the corner for Avagello. It won't go. The follow misses. Gordon, another follow. That's short. Follow again misses. And it's going to be out of bounds to Mitty. After all of that.
Right now, Mater Dei's got to look at finishing that defensive possession with a rebound. You know, Gordon struggling in the second half. Only one field goal in the entire second half. Credit the defense. And also you have to think about the foul trouble. Has the foul trouble kept him from being aggressive on the offensive end as well?
He's been very unselfish, and I think most of the time you look at that and you say that's really a good thing. In this case, maybe you don't say that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the Windward game earlier with Jordan Canada, one of the best point guards in the nation in the girls' game. And it was almost like at some point you have to be selfish. At some point you really have to take over because the team is working so hard to get this guy the ball. And that's the thing, they're working so hard to get the star the ball. At some point you have to take it upon yourself, put it on your shoulders, and try to make something happen.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And Gordon, now with a minute and 14 seconds left, I think it's fair to say he probably will do that. He hasn't picked up that fourth foul yet, so that's not an issue. And all of that said, I think Johnson has done a pretty nice job on him.
Oh, he has. I mean, and I think it's the physicality of Johnson. It's the physical strength that has really been the deterrent for Aaron Gordon. I mean, Aaron Gordon just hasn't really gone after him like he maybe should have.
So a 7-point ball game with a minute and 14 seconds. Mater Dei's been waiting for Archbishop Mitty, but Mitty just hasn't been able to respond. They had 4 chances this last trip, and they still will have the ball.
Still, you want to take advantage of this opportunity.
Almost a sloppy inbounds pass. Peterson stutter steps, up with the left hand, missed it. And that's going to be off the hands of Johnson and out of bounds to Mitty. This will be a 5th chance.
I almost feel like he wanted to pass that ball. Seemed like he went up and didn't exactly want to shoot it. Again, trying to get the ball to Gordon.
And they did get it to Gordon, and he couldn't get it to fall. He will go to the free throw line. Could have been a 3-point play, and thus a 4-point game.
Yeah, with the clock stopped. And that's where it's tough. Here's a great play. Johnson forgetting about where he was. And if you're going to pressure the ball, you're actually going to cover the ball and out of bounds underneath, you really have to pressure the ball. You can't allow that pass.
Gordon gets that one. Cuts the lead to 6. Missed that one on purpose.
You sure?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Pretty sure. I thought we were gonna have to bring out a new backboard. Jeez, that's a tough one though. I understand the point, but I think you still just make the foul shot, and make it a 5-point game.
I would think so too.
It's a 2-possession game nonetheless.
And they're still not calling anything. And
good timeout.
Yeah, good timeout is right.
Good timeout. You hate to stop the clock. Up 6 with 54 seconds left, but at the same time, you also don't want to hand the ball over. And at that point, with a trapping situation, Archbishop Mitty's not going to foul. And if they do, they probably shouldn't. And they'd probably be an over-aggressive foul, but really, you're not going to foul in a trapping situation.
So the story is 54.7 seconds remaining to be played. 6-point lead for Mater Dei.
And both teams in the 1-1.
Mitty has had their chances, no question about it. I'm sure they'll go to bed tonight thinking about those chances.
Yeah, they will. They will. I mean, everybody walks away thinking about what they could have done or should have done and how they wish they could change the outcome of the game. The fact of the matter is, Mater Dei's played very well. They've played very well on defense. They've held it down. They've held it together. They had big shots here in the second half. Where the first half, you only had 2 people that scored. And then the role players have stepped their game up, hit big shots down the stretch. And that's what they really needed. I mean, now only a 6-point lead. If you take away some of those threes from some of the role players coming off the bench, then you've got a tie game.
There is the situation that remains. Archbishop Mitty has the possession arrow. Both teams in a shooting situation. Only Mitty has 1 timeout remaining. Mater Dei has none. The inbounds pass to Brown, a foul on Abagello.
If you're Mater Dei, you've got to know that you don't want to get trapped. You can't rely on them fouling if you get trapped. That's why you don't ever want to hold the ball in a situation like this. People always say, get it to the best foul shooter and let him hold it. Well, you can't rely on the fact that they're going to foul you right away. If it's a trapping defense, you have to look to pass the ball. Move the ball around. As soon as you catch it, find the open play.
Elijah Brown gets the important first free throw, makes it a 3-possession game.
Although it always works when the guy that gets fouled makes foul shots.
Exactly. That's them both. And now Peterson's going to have to push it here. Goes behind the back, takes it all over to the basket, rejected by Cage. And finally Brown gets it out of there, and that may be enough. A foul on a reach in. Going to get Peterson on this foul, I believe.
Well, Mitty's been fighting hard. They really have. An undersized team. Not the deepest team, but they have been fighting hard. Peterson in particular. Really gotten after it.
So Mitty, well, I think they do have a timeout.
You look at the shooting percentages, too, for both teams. Just not shooting the basketball very well, but I think the theme outside of the arena and the atmosphere, the theme is really, it's hard fought. You know, defense is not going to give up anything easy. There's no easy baskets in a state championship game.
Connor Peterson is fouled out, so there were no timeouts, but Connor Peterson, because he fouled out, they do have a certain amount of time to make a substitution, which they now have. Brown back at the line. Can't get the roll. 41 ticks left, 8-point game. No time to waste here. Gordon comes down, takes the three, gets the three. Now 33 seconds, a 5-point game.
And a timeout.
Yeah, I guess they did have one timeout remaining.
It's a 5-point game.
It is.
I mean, we've seen some crazy things throughout this tournament. In pretty much any championship tournament. Crazy things happen. And that's not an easy shot. Leaning into it. And the last thing you want to do is foul him, stop the clock, put him on the line for three. Now you got to pressure. Make sure you don't give up anything deep. You know, you pick up full court, you don't pressure the ball. You double the guards, you trap the first pass, and you make sure you have someone long to protect the basket. And if you're modern day, you got to think about how are we going to get this ball in bounds. Sometimes it's best to have a good foul shooter pass the ball in bounds because you have to expect to get the ball right back. You know that the defense is going to be trapping in the corner, first pass trap, try to get a steal, and it's the first pass that usually comes back to the inbound. So if you have a good foul shooting inbounder, you're in good shape.
So the Mitty crowd still hopeful. 33.3 seconds remaining, 2-possession game. Mitty will try to go for a quick steal here. If they don't get it, they'll have to take a foul.
But again, don't foul right away. You know, trap the first pass, try to get that steal.
And they are going to guard the inbounds pass with a bigger man.
But that's where the trap's going to come from.
They get it to Brown, and Brown steps through.
No timeouts.
And loose ball picked up by Johnson, ahead to Cage, flush.
Well, that's the tough one. You can't ever give that up. If you can't get the foul, you can't give up that shot at the basket.
From the corner, another try by Gordon, and Gordon comes up way short. Monroe follows, it won't go. Another follow won't go, and finally it's put in by Farrell. But too little too late. Mater Dei is going to win the state championship, the 10th for Gary McKnight. And the Monarchs of Mater Dei are champions.
I guess it doesn't get old, right?
I guess not, huh?
Winning championships doesn't get old. I mean, so much goes into a season. No one realizes it. These are hard-fought games all season, especially when you're the team that everyone's out to get.
It was a tremendous game.
Big win against Etiwanda last week, got him here, and then to finish it all off as state champions.
And big players coming up big. Stanley Johnson, tremendous job today, gets a hug from his AAU teammate Aaron Gordon. Tough day for Mitty. They had their chances. They had a lot of opportunities to get back in this game down the stretch. They hit a dead spot at the end of the third quarter, and that's really ultimately what cost them a 9-1 run by Mater Dei to end the third quarter. For all intent, that was the outcome of the game. 26 points for Johnson to go with 12 rebounds. Gordon winds up with 22 points and 20 rebounds, so certainly not the kind of performance where you want to hang your head. But Mater Dei coming up with the big win at the right time. And it was really the first half performance of Stanley Johnson that probably was the biggest difference in the game. Mater Dei wins it. They are the Open champions, 50-45.